Sanhedrin Daf Samach Aleph Amud Aleph around 10 lines down. Today's daf is sponsored by Zak ben Zakin. Therefore, Shema Yitzhak ben Salha. Amad Rav Aha Medit Ravina Lemaid Dika Amar Rava Bar Hanan Labaye. Earlier we had Rava Bar Hana said to Abaye, Imma Yitzah Hashtahavan Amir Al Klal Kulo. We said that a person, the halakha that taught you, that bowing down to an Avodah Zarah, for example, applies to all the halachot of being respectful to Avodah Zarah, to teach you that it's chayav, even when it's not the way to serve it. When Pasuk says to serve their gods, what does that exclude? If you want to say that it's talking about a person who defecates an idol that he's supposed to slaughter to, we already know that we already know that it doesn't count from bowing down. Only things that are honorable are hayav, and defecating to an avodah zarah that he's supposed to slaughter to is not considered honorable. The Gemara says, you're not chiyad mita if you defecate to markolis, because markolis is when they throw the stones at. You might have thought you'd be chayav, because generally it's a degradation to throw stones at a avodah zarah, and therefore maybe also degradation to defecate would also be chayav. Maybe the defecation, the degradation is the serving. Afkob is the only type of degradation. Kamash London for teachers, only if it's the way to serve it, you're chayav. I don't know if you slaughter an animal for markolis, you're chayav. You see, slaughtering even counts, even if it's not the way to serve it. We know that's chayav from bowing down. Or I need another pasuk. It's honorable serving by slaughtering. The person over there, the pasuk is talking about a case where a person slaughters the animal to upset God. He wasn't serving the. He's bringing it for the avodah zarah, not because he believes in avodah zarah, but just out of spite of God. Okay. If Hamnuna lost a few oxen, went to look for them. Paga berabah, he met Rabah. He brought a contradiction between two mishnahs. Tanan. First mishnah said, someone who served avodah zarah in our mishnah. Ovedi sounds like if he served it, chayav. Omer lo. But if he just says he believes in it, he's not chayav. Our Mishnah says, Ha'omer, another Mishnah rather, Ha'omer evod elech, ve'evod nelech v'na'avod. If someone says, I want to serve, or I will serve, or let's go serve, you're chayav, even if you didn't do it yet. The Gemara says, our Mishnah is talking about a case where he says, I'm accepting it, I'm accepting the Avodah Zarah as a God only for the service, and therefore it's different. He didn't accept it from beforehand until he serves it. Different answer, Yosef Omer. Tanai shakatim alma. Why are you removing Tanaim from the conversation? Tanaim, it's machlokes Tanaim. Tana says, "Haomer bo'o vavdoni." If someone says to someone else, "Come worship me," Rabbi Meir Chayav, he says that guy's chayav. He's trying to get someone to do avodah zarah. Now, if the guy already bowed down to it, bowed down to that first guy, everybody says chayav. Don't make an avodah zarah. Keep thinking where's machlokes the dibur ba'alma, where he's just trying to get the guy to bow down to him. It's considered significant and chayav. Until he actually does it. So our Mishnah fits, the two Mishnah fit based off of intention and action. Gemara says, Hadar and Brea said, and Aaron says, no. I made a mistake. We can find a case where you are chayav for speech. The Tanya says, a person is not chayav for speaking. He says, I will serve. I will go serve. Or nelech v'nawad, let's go serve. So my committee, what's the machlokes based off of? I'm on a case where a guy is trying to convince someone else to do the avodah zarah, and they say yes. More so, according to Meir, if it's one-on-one, he's likely to listen to him and do the avodah zarah. When he's saying yes, he's actually wanting to do it. But more so, the other opinion holds, when he's one-on-one, the guy's not convincing him. When he's saying yes, he's not actually because why? It's one-on-one, the guy's not convinced. He's like, who do you think you are to tell me about it's you? Maybe you should be on to me. And why he's saying yes, just to either make fun of him or just to get rid of him. Matin our Mishnah says, Khan in our Mishnah, which is your for saying I will serve, where one guy is trying to get one another person. Khan in our Mishnah, we're chayav for saying I will. We're patur. for saying I will serve. But it seems somewhat a case where you're trying to get a group of people, like Aaron Dacha. Okay. Yachid lo mimlach. So according to Yosef, an individual who says I will agree to worship something, he's probably not going to change his mind. V'tai batre, and he'll actually go after the one-on-one guy. But a group of people, they'll probably change their mind. V'lo ta'ar batre, and they won't actually follow through. I'm right. So it says, "Mina I know this." The Tipa says, "Lo ta'aviv v'lo tishma alav." Don't listen to him. Don't follow him, and don't listen to him. The guy who's trying to instigate you to do other zera. Ha'avav v'shema b'yachayav. But if he did follow and or listen, you are chayav. Now the Gemara says, is there any difference between the guy who's trying to get one person to do Avazara or one guy trying to get a group of people to do Avazara? But then it says, your brother, the son of your mother, shall try to get you to do Avazara. Sounds like any type of person, whether it's one-on-one instigation or one-on multiple investigation. You're not listening to him. The pasuk excluded a case of individual to a group and a group from individual. One guy one-on-one is different than public than multiple because a guy who does one-on-one, he's chayav sekila, and his property does not get destroyed. Versus they only get sayaf, they only get beheading instead of sekila, but their property is destroyed. We see that the only difference is in that regard. Any other aspect, they're the same thing, and therefore it doesn't make a difference whether or not they are saying they're going to do it or they actually do it. So how do you explain our Mishnah? The Gemara says, our Mishnah says you're patur for just saying you're going to do it. Is where a guy is trying to convince himself. However, where the guy says I will serve and you're chayav is where someone else convinced him. In that case, the guy is chayav. Okay. Why? Because a guy who's doing it himself, he convinces himself, he'll probably change his mind. But if he has someone talking to him, he'll actually follow along. Right? So we're changing. Each opinion has their own way of looking at it. The psyche, the psychological aspects of people, whether or not they'll follow one person, whether or not they'll follow multiple people or themselves, is all different according to each opinion. How do I notice? It says it's but Rabbi is an explanation of the Mishnayot. Both cases come a case where you follow someone else. In the first case, we say I will for saying I will serve. The Amarle, where the guy told him, he starts the instigator explaining him like he's trying to explain to him and trying to convince him by saying, listen, this Avodah we're going to serve. He eats like this, drinks like this, he likes this, doesn't like that. But in the other Mishnah where you're not chayav is he didn't try to convince him, and therefore the guy's probably not going to do it. When he says I'm going to do it, he's not going to do it. But if he explains everything, he's, oh look, this is how we do it. If he's trying to convince him and he tries to explain to him everything, and he's following along, then we're suspecting that he's actually going to do it. Pasuk mentions don't follow the gods that are people who are close to you or far from you. Why does it make a difference where they are, far or distant? Pasuk thing as follows: from the nearby idols that are next to you, the nature of them, you can learn about the far ones as well. Meaning, same way the ones next to you don't mean anything, so too the other ones that are far away also are equally powerless. My love, so therefore must be teaching you, seemingly, it's one case where it's obviously showing you that how do you know that it's powerless? It's because the guy tried to explain to you, this is its power, this is how it eats, this is how it drinks, and therefore we see that's how the difference is. Okay, beautiful answer. Different explanation. Sefa. Next part of the Mishnah says that I will serve is chayav is small, but Yisrael a guy who's an off the Jew, then he's chayav. Ravina says, Lo zu af zuktanim. Mishnah was not saying two separate cases that are mentioned in two different hidushim. It's teaching you in a different style format of the Mishnah. Lo zu afsu. Not only this, but even that. Meaning, not only a case where the guy is serving the Avodah chayav, but even if he just says, I will serve your chayav as well. Okay, itmar. Someone serves Avodah out of love or fear of another person. Because he served it. If he says it as an idol, if not. If he's doing it because he loves someone or hate or scared of someone, you are patur. Siman Eved Ishtahave to Mashiach. Amar B'yam, I know this. Now Mashiach says, Aved Kohen Echar Aved, right? Our Mishnah mentions if you serve it, whether it's slaughtering, etc., Yechayav. Now, what does it mean whether or not you serve? Mi'alav sounds like Echad Ha'aved Mi'avav, if you're serving out of fear or love, and not actually because you believe in it. The Gemara says, no, look, in terms of Yirmiyah, we have a different explanation of Yirmiyah to teach you that you're chayav on it, even if it's not the normal way of serving it. If you're doing something honorable, even though it's not the classic service, you're still chayav. Rabbi Abba says, I don't know how to know this. Tanakh says, Lo tishtachaved lehem, don't bow down. Lahem yetem tishtachaved, but tishtachaved ledan kamotcha. You can't bow down to Avodah Zarah, but you can bow down to a person out of respect, like we see in the Torah with the kings. Yachol afin keman. Maybe I think you also have to bow down on someone who's worshipped, like Haman. It says, Lo tavden, don't serve them. Don't worship them. So you could bet on someone out of respect, but not out of worshiping, like Haman. One second, Haman wasn't because they accepted him as a god, they were scared of him. Maybe he should be Patur. The Gemara says, Haman's different. He has two different ways. Haman, he's like Haman the because he himself was considered a false god, or he had the necklace on him. But not like Haman, not like Haman, because generally Haman was worshipped because people were scared of him. While other cases, one case where you are not worshiping out of fear, but out of you're considering it a god, that's asur. Okay, Mama Bey, I don't know what the Tanakh says. A guy regarding a Kohen Gadol who accidentally served Avodah Zarah. So there's different cases: the person accidentally serving, or making something, thinking something mutar, whether Betin says it's mutar by accident or a different case. So if the Kohen Gadol makes something mutar that was not mutar, he has to bring a korban. But now, is he considered, the fact that he says it's mutar, is he considered like Betin, and therefore he brings one type of korban? Or it's like his own mistake, and therefore he brings like a korban shogeg, like everybody else. Gemara says, he brings a korban like any shogeg. Whereas no, he's considered betin, therefore he'll bring a korban hatat, just like a regular betin that makes a mistake. Hachmim and Rabbi hold that when the Kohen Gadol is trying to bring a korban, he's bringing like a regular animal, like a regular person. B'shavin also they agree. If it's a case of doubt, you do not. In a case of safek, you do not bring a safek korban like other cases as well. The Gemara says, how do you have a mistaken avodah zarah? If he thought he was bowing down to a shul and he bowed toward it, but realized then he realized avodah zarah, he was trying to serve God. Ella, maybe some other case, he saw a statue of the king, bowed down to it out of respect, but then he didn't realize it was avodah zarah. So then he should bring a korban hatat. If he thought of it as a god, then he'd be chayav mitah. Ve'lo, he did not accept it as a god. Lo klum, it doesn't count as anything. Maybe it's a Tomar case of an accidental serving, Tomar case where you're serving something out of love or fear. Mar says no. Rabbi says no. Look, the Omer mutar. It's a Tomar case where he thought it was completely mutar to the Avodah Zarah. This guy must have been Amaris. Omer mutar. Mar says 1 second. Mutar. Hainu helam davar. A person who says it's mutar, it's the same thing as the case of helam davar, which basically is betin telling you you're allowed to do this, but you're not allowed to. Gemara says no, it's different. There's difference. The case where we say it's mutar to do it is when he thought it was completely mutar to serve avodah zarah. That type of case is our case. That's a shogeg. A case of halam davar, where we make a mistake in halacha, is talking about a case where he knows it's asur, but he doesn't think this is asur. I know there is a concept of avodah zarah, I just didn't know this is asur. That's a case of halam davar.